My parents kicked me out to give my room to my brother's wife. "You're a burden anyway," they said as she dumped my clothes on the street. I left without a fight and just smiled. 2 months later, they showed up at my door desperate. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. My 23M. Brother Carlos, 27M, got married to Ellen, 25F, last month after dating for just 3 months. I should have seen the storm coming when she started making comments about my room during their first visit. This room has such better natural lighting than the guest room, or the view from here is amazing. But I never thought my own parents would actually kick me out over it. Yesterday, I came home from work to find Ellen throwing my stuff into garbage bags while my mom Rhonda watched from the doorway. Not packing boxes, garbage bags. They didn't even wait for me to get home before starting. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked, watching my clothes spill onto the floor as Ellen roughly yanked another drawer open. "Oh good, you're home," my mom said like this was totally normal. "Ellen and Carlos need more space, so we're giving them your room. The guest room is too small for a married couple." I stood there, watching Ellen manhandle my laptop, nearly dropping it as she shoved it into a bag. "Careful with that," I snapped, moving to grab it from her. "That's a work computer." "Don't talk to her like that." My brother Carlos appeared from nowhere, getting in my face. "Show some respect to my wife." "Respect? She's throwing my stuff in trash bags." That's when my dad Henry came thundering up the stairs. "What's all this yelling about? Dario, are you giving Ellen trouble?" Of course. Of course he'd assume I was the problem. It's been like this ever since Carlos was born. He was the golden child who could do no wrong, and I was just there, the spare, the backup plan. "I just got home to find them throwing my stuff out," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "No warning. Nothing." "We told Carlos and Ellen they could have your room 2 days ago," my mom chimed in. "It's not our fault you're never around to hear these things." I wanted to scream. I work 50-hour weeks at Dad's business, doing all the back-end work. He's too technologically illiterate to handle himself. The only reason I'm never around is because I'm always working. "You're 23, Dario," my dad said in that condescending tone I've heard my whole life. "It's time you moved out anyway. You're becoming a burden." A burden. The word hit like a punch to the gut. I'm the one who modernized their entire inventory system. I'm the one who set up their online ordering. I'm the one who manages their social media and customer service. But sure, I'm the burden. Ellen smirked as she dumped another drawer of my clothes onto the growing pile. "Don't worry. I'll take good care of your room. I'm thinking of painting it sage green. It'll look so much better than these dark walls." I looked around at my room. My space since I was 5 years old. The walls I'd painted navy blue myself when I was 16. The built-in desk I'd installed last year. The custom shelving I'd put up for my books and gaming setup. All about to be painted over in sage green. But something in me just clicked, like a switch being flipped. I felt weirdly calm. You know what? Fine. I started gathering up my scattered clothes, putting them back in the bags properly. Give me 24 hours to pack everything correctly, and I'll be gone. They all looked surprised at my sudden cooperation. Ellen's smirk faltered a little. "Well, good," my mom said uncertainly. "That's very mature of you." I spent the next few hours methodically packing while they hovered, probably expecting me to snap, but I stayed quiet, carefully organizing my things, making sure to take everything that was mine, including the desk and shelving I'd paid for myself. My friend Mackenzie's letting me crash at her place until I figure things out. She was furious when I told her what happened, offered to help me destroy their lives, but I told her not to. I've got something better in mind. See, what my family doesn't know is that I've been preparing for something like this. Not this exactly, but I knew someday they'd try to screw me over. I've got savings, I've got connections from working with Dad's clients, and most importantly, I've got all the passwords and access to every system I set up for their business. They never bothered to learn how any of it works. I'm not going to do anything illegal. I don't need to. They just handed me everything I need to destroy them, completely legally. Dad wants to call me a burden? Fine. Let's see how well they handle the burden of running their business without me. Update 1. Hey Reddit, I honestly didn't expect my last post to blow up like that. Thanks for all the support and advice. A lot has happened in these 2 weeks, and I need to get this off my chest. Quick recap. My parents kicked me out to give my room to my entitled brother Carlos's new wife Ellen, calling me a burden while she threw my stuff into trash bags. Instead of fighting, I just left quietly. Some of you called me weak for not standing up to them. Trust me, I had my reasons. The last 2 weeks have been interesting. Remember how I mentioned working at my dad's shop? Well, I got a new job at Morrison's across town, their direct competitor. Funny thing is, I was the one who handled most of our regular customers for the past 3 years. Guess who they prefer dealing with? The drama at my old house is reaching soap opera levels. Mackenzie, my best friend who's letting me crash at her place until my apartment is ready, still lives next door to my parents. And the stories she's telling me are wild. Ellen has apparently decided that my old room needs a complete makeover. We're talking tearing down walls, custom closets, the works. My mom Rhonda made the mistake of suggesting they wait a few months to save up for renovations. Mackenzie recorded the screaming match on her phone while she was in her backyard. Ellen was shrieking about how they promised her a proper living space and how she wouldn't have agreed to move in if she knew they were liars. Real classy. Carlos, being the spineless yes man he is, sided with her. He actually told our mom, "You're being selfish with your money, just like you were with Dario's room." The irony is killing me. Dad's been calling me nonstop since Thursday, not to apologize. No, that would require having a spine. His best customer, Mr. Rodriguez, switched to Morrison's after I helped him with a complicated order that would have taken weeks at my dad's place. I know their system, their suppliers, their prices. I know exactly how to offer a better deal while still making a profit. When I finally picked up, he started with his usual manipulation. "Son, after everything we've done for you," I cut him off mid-sentence. "You mean like throwing my belongings in garbage bags and calling me a burden? Or do you mean letting Ellen destroy the room I painted and maintained for 15 years? The silence was beautiful. But here's where it gets better. Ellen's renovation demands are bleeding them dry. Mackenzie overheard my mom crying to her sister about maxing out 2 credit cards. They had to dip into their business account to pay for the custom closets Ellen insisted on. They're the same ones the Kardashians have. Like that justifies anything. Carlos lost his cushy job last week. Apparently, Ellen kept showing up at his workplace unannounced, making scenes about how he needs to come home early because she's too stressed to be alone. 3 warnings later, they let him go. Now he's working at some warehouse making half of what he used to. The best part? Ellen's now demanding they convert the garage into a home gym because she needs a proper space to maintain her influence, her body. She has 342 followers on Instagram. My dad's face when she presented him with a $155,000 quote for gym equipment was priceless. Mackenzie said he looked like he was having a stroke. I'm just watching it all unfold while steadily taking their customers. Not poaching, just providing better service. It's amazing how treating people with respect and actually delivering on promises can build a loyal customer base. Who knew? Yesterday I signed the lease for my new apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. No entitled princess can throw my stuff out here. The look on Ellen's face when she drove past me moving in, yeah, they still cruise by Mackenzie's place trying to guilt-trip me, was worth every penny of the deposit. Dad's business is struggling without me. Turns out I was doing a lot more than just helping around. Their online ordering system, I built that. Their supplier relationships, I maintained those. Their customer service reputation? Yeah, that was all me. Now they're drowning in bad reviews because Ellen convinced them to hire her cousin, who can't tell the difference between an invoice and a receipt. Mom tried to reach me through Mackenzie yesterday. Apparently, they're having trouble paying both the mortgage and Ellen's renovation bill. The business account is almost empty. Carlos and Ellen are still living in my perfectly good room, which now has a hole in the wall where they tried to install a vintage chandelier without checking for electrical wires first. I didn't respond. Just like they didn't respond when I asked for an hour to pack my things properly instead of having them thrown in garbage bags. You reap what you sow. Mackenzie says Ellen's now talking about wanting to convert the basement into a content creation studio. I wonder if my parents' credit cards can handle another hit. Guess we'll find out in my next update. Update 2, I wasn't planning to post another update so soon, but holy, you guys, the absolute chaos that's unfolding right now is beyond anything I expected. Quick recap for those who missed my previous posts. My parents kicked me out to give my room to my brother Carlos's new wife Ellen, calling me a burden. Instead of fighting, I smiled and left. Then I started working at their competitor and systematically taking their clients through better service. Well, the has officially hit the fan. Remember how Ellen was demanding all those renovations? She convinced my parents to refinance the house to fund her vision. New kitchen, expanded master bathroom, custom closets, the works. My mom Rhonda was against it initially, but Ellen worked her manipulation magic on my dad Henry. But don't you want your first grandchild to grow up in a beautiful home? Yeah. She dropped that bomb to get her way. She's not even pregnant. The renovation costs spiraled out of control. The contractors found issues that needed fixing. Ellen insisted on premium materials. Meanwhile, I've been quietly growing my client base at the competing business. Remember those detailed notes I kept about all our customers' preferences and pain points? They're coming in real handy. One by one, they're switching over. Not because I'm bad-mouthing my family. I'm just offering better service and actually following through on promises. Yesterday, I was grabbing coffee when I overheard my former neighbor talking. Did you hear the screaming coming from Henry and Rhonda's house last night? Apparently, Ellen had a complete meltdown because the custom Italian tiles she ordered for the bathroom were the wrong shade of gray. She was throwing things and screaming about how this house is falling apart just like her dreams. The neighbors called the police about the noise. When the cops showed up, Ellen tried to blame my parents for ruining her life. Real classy. But here's where it gets better. Carlos lost his job last week. Why? Ellen kept showing up at his workplace unannounced, making scenes about how he needs to stand up to his parents and demand his inheritance early. She actually screamed at his boss for exploiting Carlos by making him work 40 hours a week. They asked him to take a leave of absence. He quit instead. The family business is circling the drain. Turns out I was handling way more than they realized. Dad's getting desperate. He tried calling 3 times this week, left a voicemail saying they need to talk about the business. Mom sent a text saying they miss my help around the office. Yeah, should have thought about that before calling me worthless and throwing my stuff in garbage bags. Mackenzie, my friend who helped me when they kicked me out, works at the bank where my parents have their business account. She didn't give me any private details, but apparently they tried to get another loan. Denied. Their credit is shot from all the renovation debt. Ellen's still demanding more upgrades, though. Now she wants the backyard redone because the neighbors see into her space. Carlos and Ellen have started fighting too. I heard through mutual friends that she's blaming him for not having enough money to finish the renovation. She thought his parents were loaded and he'd inherit a successful business. Now she's realizing they're just regular people with a failing business and a mortgaged house. Last week, she threw his PlayStation out the window during a fight. That was his main entertainment since losing his job. The karma train isn't stopping there. Remember how Ellen insisted on firing Maria, our longtime housekeeper, because she didn't like the way she looked at her? Maria now works for me. She's actually helping manage the new clients I've taken from my parents. Turns out she has amazing organizational skills that my parents never utilized. She's making better money now and actually gets treated with respect. Dad's drinking more. The neighbors see him sitting in his car in the driveway late at night, just staring at the house. Mom's lost weight from stress. Carlos is sleeping on the couch because Ellen turned their bedroom into a yoga studio that she uses maybe twice a week. The renovation work is half finished because they ran out of money. There's literally a hole in the kitchen ceiling that they can't afford to fix. I haven't said a word to any of them. Don't need to. Just sitting back and watching it all implode. My new place is small, but paid for. My job is secure. My clients are happy. Meanwhile, their house looks like a construction zone, the business is failing, and they're all at each other's throats. Ellen's latest tantrum was about the neighbors' kids being too loud while playing in their own backyard. She called the police to complain. The cops basically told her to get over herself. Now none of the neighbors talk to them anymore. I know some of you might think I'm being cold, but remember, they threw me out like garbage, called me worthless, said I was a burden. Now they're realizing just how much I was holding everything together. The business will probably close within a month. The house might go into foreclosure if they can't make the new mortgage payments. Carlos and Ellen's marriage is hanging by a thread. All I did was walk away and do better for myself. Their own choices did the rest. Mackenzie thinks I should feel bad for them. I don't. Not even a little bit. They made their bed. Now they can lie in it. Their calls go straight to voicemail. Their texts get read but not answered. They burned that bridge when they chose Ellen over their own son. Just got another missed call from Dad while writing this. The voicemail was just him breathing heavily and hanging up. Think he might have been crying. Too bad. Should have thought about consequences before throwing me away. I'll update again if anything major happens. But honestly, I'm focused on my own life now. Success is the best revenge, and watching them implode while I thrive, chef's kiss. Finally, update. Hey Reddit, it's been about 2 months since my last update, and holy everything just came crashing down. For them, not me. Grab your popcorn because this is exactly what I've been working toward. I was chilling on my couch last night watching YouTube and eating takeout when my doorbell started ringing like crazy. I checked my Ring camera, bought it after moving out, best decision ever, and saw my parents standing there. Mom was crying, and Dad looked like he hadn't slept in days. Part of me wanted to ignore them. But you know what? I wanted to see this. I opened the door and just stood there, not inviting them in. Mom tried to hug me, but I stepped back. What do you want? Dad started with his usual, "Son, we need to talk. The family's falling apart." No, Sherlock, that was the plan. Turns out the business is completely dead. Remember how I mentioned taking their clients? Well, I didn't just take them. I showed them how my parents had been overcharging for years. All I did was offer fair prices and better service. Totally legal, totally brutal. Karma's a... But here's where it gets good. Ellen, that princess they kicked me out for, maxed out 3 credit cards my parents co-signed for. She convinced them it was for home improvements, but really she was shopping at Nordstrom and booking spa days while bad-mouthing them on social media. My friend Mackenzie works at the spa and kept me updated. The best part? They can't even kick her out because Carlos threatened to cut contact if they did. Mom was sobbing about how they might lose the house. I just smiled and said, "Like how I lost my home?" The look on their faces was priceless. "We made a mistake," Dad said. "We need your help. You're doing well. We've seen your new place. Please, please, son." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Remember when you called me a burden? When you threw my stuff in garbage bags? Let me show you something." I pulled out my phone and showed them the email I received that morning. The confirmation that I'm now the proud owner of their house. Yeah, you read that right. I bought it through the bank's foreclosure auction using a shell company. Totally legal. Totally ruthless. Mom collapsed on my doorstep, crying. Dad started yelling about how I planned this, how I'm destroying the family. I cut him off. "No. You destroyed this family when you chose Ellen over your own son. I just watched it burn and roasted marshmallows." Then Carlos and Ellen showed up. Apparently, they followed my parents. Ellen started screaming about how this was all my fault, how I ruined everything. I just recorded her meltdown on my phone while smiling. Carlos tried to get aggressive, but stopped when I reminded him that assault charges wouldn't look good on his already terrible job application. "You have until the end of the month to move out," I told them. "All of you. I own the house now, and I'm not as generous as the bank. They gave you 60 days. I'm giving you 30. Ellen started crying about having nowhere to go. I shrugged and said, "There's a Motel 6 down the street, if you can afford it." Dad tried one last time. "We're your family." "No," I replied. "You were my family. Now you're just my tenants, and you're being evicted." I closed the door on their faces and blocked their numbers. Through my security camera, I watched them stand there for another 20 minutes, arguing with each other. Ellen blaming my parents blaming Carlos, Carlos blaming everyone. Music to my ears. This morning, I got 34 missed calls and a bunch of texts from extended family calling me heartless. I sent them all the same reply, a screenshot of Ellen's credit card statements, showing how she spent $23,000 on designer bags while my parents were missing mortgage payments. The best part? I'm moving into my old room next month, already planning to renovate the whole house. Thinking of renting out the other rooms to actually deserving people who need a fresh start. Someone suggested I should forgive them, maybe help them out. Nah, they chose this path when they threw me out. Actions have consequences, and I'm not their safety net. For those wondering, yes, this is all legal. Yes, I planned this from the moment they kicked me out. And no, I don't feel bad. They showed me who they really were, and I believed them. Now they get to live with their choices. Like today's story, a super thanks helps me keep bringing you the best daily content. Your support means I can keep doing what I love. Thanks for being awesome.